Welcome again to the December 4th, 2010 NAWAPA seminar, the 224th year after the founding of our, 234th year after the founding of our nation. We're going to have a number of presentations in the afternoon from Ouyang Tang, a member of the LPAC Basement Research Team. We have Wayne Volz here from Tucson, Arizona, who made the long drive to present a crucial sense of the project. We have DeWitt Moss, who drove all the way from Palm Desert via Idaho to present his sense of what this project means and the challenges we face in its development project, having a sense of the terrain and environment in Idaho. And then we have Lloyd Kraft, who came all the way down from Fresno, who's a professor there in civil engineering and construction management, to give a sense of, from his perspective on the ground from a construction standpoint and also from an education standpoint, how we can get this project off the ground and what it means to future generations in this country today. We also have Dr. Yuxian Wu, who is a professor at San Diego State with a background in environmental and civil engineering, as well as soil and agriculture and water resources. And so we're very happy to have all of them participating. I don't think I forgot anybody. You got everybody there. We're very happy to have all of them participating and for their family and friends to attend as well. Because of the nature and importance of this project, as well as everyone else here, we're happy to have you. I want you to come out with a better sense of why this project has become a major flank to solve this current political and economic crisis. And it clearly is, and I'll get to that in a second. Is there anything I'm forgetting in terms of logistics that anyone can remind me of now? Okay. Well, let me start by saying that we are in an economic system, a paradigm of economic policy and thinking that has entirely failed. And if that's not clear, then hopefully by the end of the discussion today, the contrast between what the policy should be from the standpoint of a NAWAPA policy. I did want to forget one person who is not yet here. Phil Rubenstein will be closing the session today. And hopefully by the time he gets to his remarks following everyone else's presentations, we should have a clear sense of what this country should have been doing for the last 50 years. And if it had, this is something that came up in a number of presentations to the college classrooms over the course of the last few months. If we had built NAWAPA in the 1960s when it was designed, we would be having this seminar on the moon to discuss the project for Mars. Instead of you sitting in this room very deeply concerned about the loss of your nation, the loss of a future for your children and grandchildren, and what will come of the current lack of political leadership. So this failure has expressed itself in a number of ways. Clearly, it's expressed itself in the death of the worldwide international monetary and financial system. That financial system, globalization, as it's recognized, is dead. The inter-alpha banking system, the banking system that replaced the system Franklin Roosevelt had set up, is dead. The Democratic Party is dead. Obama's killed it. He's taken revenge out against the Democratic Party and the population as a whole. The Republican Party died when Bush got reelected, so you'd probably say Rand Paul's The Walking Dead. So, in some sense, this is awake. And I think it's important, at this point now, the irony comes in that a small European country and a complete failure of the leading financial institutions and political institutions of European civilization have clearly failed to address the current economic crisis. Since 2007, the policies have been extending financial lending and loans under the rhetoric of support of the population facing a dire economic situation, have provided trillions upon trillions of lending and dollars and printing of currency to the hands of the largest and most elite financial institutions in the world, which have done absolutely nothing to address the crisis for the average person in the United States, in Europe, or globally. It's even been recognized recently that the Federal Reserve's TARP bailout process of up to $13+ trillion and a total of something like $27 trillion extended during the bailout process, which continues today. A large portion of that did not even go to U.S. banking institutions. That we printed out $13 trillion, which largely went to European financial institutions, part of the Inter-Alpha banking system, Banco Santander, Societe Generale. So the commitment to the economic crisis was not to the population which suffered under its yoke, but went to the financial institutions which had created it. And so ironically, in this situation, a country with a long history, going back thousands of years as a culture and identity, a very close relation to the British Isle, has now become a focal point for the outcome of the current crisis. And history somewhat works in that way. It's similar to why this seminar today and your participation in it reflects, though it's a small grouping of a political organization and people involved in participating, have an opportunity to change the course of history. So this small country, Ireland, broad shoulders, has an opportunity to address a final destruction to that British Empire, which has been the cause of its problems for centuries. People don't know Ireland recently was forced by European Central Bank and the IMF and other financial institutions globally to impose upon Ireland a bailout of some billions of dollars, which was largely taken out of its pension fund for its own population to provide to banks like Anglo-Irish Bank or Allied Irish Bank to bail out those financial institutions which were going to be directly given to other financial institutions as part of an inter-alpha banking system. To save the financial institutions by literally taking a pound of flesh out of the Irish people. They're going to cut minimum wage. They're going to cut social programs. They're going to cut education. Now people say, well, that's not going to kill people. Yeah, well, it doesn't kill the person who's not yet in dire straits. But there are many people who over the course of the last 3 years, and for long before then, who have been in dire straits. They're oftentimes the unforgotten. Or the forgotten part of the population. Those people will die. They do face those types of repercussions and consequences under the current policies. So, Ireland has an opportunity under leadership of people like Gerry Adams and the Sinn Féin party of Ireland, who has a long tradition committed to something that was created in the United States. That this nation was founded to represent a principle for social relations amongst men, amongst humankind, for the development of future generations perpetually, in perpetuity, for posterity. Not for right now, not for your pleasure today, not to solve the problem and find a remedy for this moment, but to guarantee a future survival for mankind in generations to come. And that's where things like space exploration, or Mars colonization, where the platform foundations for development, like NAWAPA, become crucial in terms of a science of the development of mankind. So it's unique to think of NAWAPA in this context. It's also, though NAWAPA is crucial today as a policy, and you're going to find out the specifics of what it entails scientifically as a revolution, what it entails as an engineering feat, how it's part of a cultural process that does continue in places like China, places like South Korea, the Miracle on the Han River. This is a country through American-style protectionism, went from the first country as an underdeveloped and developing country, post-World War II, post the Korean War in the 1950s, to becoming a major exporter of the most advanced nuclear technologies in the world today, under American-style policies that we ourselves have foregone. the policies in Asia are committed to policies that are exemplified by NAWAPA, but are unsustainable if the United States does not make the same political commitment to achieve those ends. But NAWAPA exists in history. I think it's important to consider in what context. It was designed by Parsons Engineering Company, which exists, though it's not the same company any longer. It's been bought out by a foreign company. It was designed in the 1960s for a presidential administration, one very much unlike the current one we have today. It was actually the first Irish-American presidency. It was designed for a Kennedy administration. It was designed for an administration that had dedicated itself to a revival of that Franklin Roosevelt policy that had been ended by Harry Truman coming out of World War II. It had been intended and designed as a policy, as the necessary kind of platform for the fulfillment of the space exploration policy we had embarked upon, especially beginning in 1958. That this policy, to fulfill the necessary requirements in education, in engineering, and scientific advancement, and a know-how of taking a very difficult area for mankind to survive, the Great American Desert, the Rocky Mountain terrain, the areas in the Arctic Circle, and to provide a major foundation for the development of human society, new cities, new universities, new scientific facilities, massive levels of infrastructure, transportation, power. It was designed with an idea as a stepping stone necessary to fulfill not just a landing on the moon, but an industrial development of that moon. That the moon would become then a platform for exploration to Mars, and perhaps beyond. And though that might seem a far stretch from the current crisis we face today, I would say that the imagination entailed in a policy put forward by that Kennedy administration, by leaders like Wernher von Braun and others, had a sense that that's how mankind's destiny was fulfilled. That's how mankind progressed in basic economic terms, through profound ideas and visions towards what mankind's future could entail if we dedicated to such a mission. So why wasn't it then built? Well, as many people know, as we had a recent anniversary of the death and assassination of John F. Kennedy, a major intervention was made to shut down U.S. policy. And that was the assassination of John F. Kennedy, the immediate launching of the Vietnam War, that war's cultural and emotional destruction of our country. And then they shifted the economic system to the current financial system we have today, beginning in the early 1970s. And from that point, you've seen a total destruction of U.S. industry, our engineering capacity. We now graduate more massage therapists than engineers in the United States. You've seen a shutdown of education. You've seen a tax put on any type of investment in industry. If you're going to invest long-term in any industrial project, the current international floating exchange rate system will tax you to death through a manipulation of those exchange rate systems. And that's been a practice, clearly, since at least the Venetian banking system brought havoc upon Europe during the Dark Ages of the 13th and 14th century. It's a corrupt practice of preventing the development of mankind. So for 40 years, for 50 years since the assassination of John F. Kennedy, we've seen an intention to destroy our country, to destroy projects like NAWAPA, and what they entail for mankind's future. So the revival of that policy today does not only entail 4 million jobs, major redevelopment of industry. It revives that tradition which has fostered the kinds of advancements that our country has heralded and fostered for civilization. It's a return to a cultural paradigm, a cultural platform for development. And that's what our seminar embarks on today. So what I'd like to do is now introduce the next speaker. And I want to really impress on people the importance. Participate in the entire seminar today. Don't get caught up in the shops in Pasadena. Right? Oh, I've got a good sense of what they're talking about. Participate and concentrate on the entire development of what this project entails, what these speakers have to present. because they really represent the crucial opportunity to save civilization today and to bring and solve this economic crisis. So on that note, I'd like to thank you all again for coming, as well as our speakers, and introduce the first presenter, Creighton Cody Jones. Been working with Mr. LaRouche for 10 years. He's been a participant in the research project now for about 2 years, and in advanced scientific research on a conceptual level to fundamentally shift not only the economic policy, but our outlook towards science and the creative condition of the human mind. So please welcome Cody Jones, and thanks for coming.
All right. Nothing like a cold drink of water in the desert, huh? So the other day, I found myself in a cafe, and there was something on the television that I think was really captures the essence of the kind of tragedy that